I wasn't sure if I was going to make an actual review for this documentary after the first video I made on it, as there probably isn't too much I can add. However, I do enjoy saying I was right. It was exactly what I thought it would be, but somehow managed to be more boring than I anticipated. Every episode is pretty much identical. We get therapy sessions of her getting over OCD, interviews with people that shower her in positive compliments, presumably because they're relatives, or she is that person's boss, then general behind the scenes of shit she does and scattering a few clips of her crying. Probably less than a third of this documentary is devoted to her OCD, which is the main selling point, and that's exactly what they were going for. You have 10 minutes of her dealing with OCD, then cut to her in the studio doing something to make the audience go, wow, she can do all these great things even with this mental illness? It's blatant manipulation that's clearly working by looking at the comments. This is by far the most positive comments I've seen in one of her videos, as usually it just says something like, unfunny. In the episode The Internet Hates Me, we see her crying, says the internet hates her, surprisingly, then she gets smothered with more positive comments. They never address why it's cool to hate on her, but it's painfully obvious. Her videos are a fucking goldmine for anyone who likes to tear apart bad videos, since every single one of her creations are riddled with awful jokes and just complete fuck-ups. Doesn't cover any of this. Instead, everyone is just absolutely baffled by all of the dislikes. Then they go right back into the brown nosing. She gets bum-licked so hard by everyone around her that she probably has the world's cleanest rectum. It should have been shorter, cutting out all the meandering and focus solely on her OCD, as that's the only part that's kind of entertaining, because like I said in my previous video, she isn't that interesting. You can see an example of this in the titles of the episodes, as between I have severe OCD and I have Tourette's is the episode My Dad is Gay. That doesn't fit in there. Why would anybody care about your dad's sexuality? Loads of people are gay, so no one is going to do a spit take when they hear about your dad being one of them. It's just another pointless thing they add to pad the runtime. Like, nobody needs to see her in the studio 50 times making music, as any sane person can figure out that a singer records their songs. If there was a behind the scenes of my videos, it would go like this. Here's me writing the script. Oh, now I'm recording it, and I fucked up that take. Wow, look at that editing. Here's an interview of someone who isn't me. He's really good at everything. It'll be bloody boring watching half an hour of that, since there's no insight of how it's done and only displays what you could have figured out on your own. The OCD stuff is something her audience has never been exposed to, which is why that's the best bit, especially for me since I feed off of suffering. This is something I hate about advertising, as trailers aren't just about giving you a rough idea of what you'll be watching, but it's also meant to get you interested. I'm sure a lot less people would have tuned in if the trailer went along the lines of, watch me do stuff, woo, I'm doing creative things and you get to watch the behind the scenes. Oh, by the way, I have OCD. Nobody cares about any of that, and it's all a business move. If a company invested a lot of money into my behind the scenes, I'm sure they'd prefer a trailer like this. You think I have the perfect life? Making videos about stupid people making shit films? Well, I don't have the perfect life. Because I'm addicted to crack! Whoa! Fuck yeah! Let's hit the glass and do some editing on the come down! Admit it, that's a shitload more enticing. Now, what did the documentary do well, I'm sure you're asking? Not much. On the plus side, it isn't made by Lele, so it is at least competent, though that is about all, since it goes for a very standard documentary style. There are parts where she addresses the camera, other parts where they walk along the street having a supposedly natural conversation while a cameraman walks in front of them, clips of her doing things while she narrates. It's all very generic, which works since the audience are stupid children that don't know better. It's so uninspired, which does fit her content, but this just brings me to question, why was this even made? It's not very informative, nor is it interesting, but it does make you feel bad for her. I said this at the beginning, it just manipulates you into feeling sorry for this person with a mental illness by showing her crying and playing sad piano. It's manipulation at its most basic, and that is really all I can say about it. And also, I was right. 2 out of 10.